Hi guys, this your girl Caitlin, welcome back to the channel as always. So as a follow-up to a previous video I did looking at essentially pre-arena gear, what can you do as a Resto Shaman, a viewer requested that I do a best in slot gear review, I guess you could say, or whatever you want to call it. So essentially that's what this is. This is a follow-up and this is the best in slot. So here we are. As same before, no talents and just a Tauren Shaman. The first thing I will immediately say, just so I can remember their name, is under some discussion on the previous video, talking about spell pen versus resistance on our cloak. Octinex, I believe is how you pronounce his name, but yep, in the comments we were discussing it, and for this time I've gone for the spell pen on cloak as opposed to the resistance. They both have their merits, but this time we've gone for something a little bit different. The other thing I'd say about this gear is what I would do, again just to make it slightly different from the other video, a bit of variance, is this is what I would go for if I specifically focusing on 3v3. So this is threes sockets, basically, the way I would socket, and most importantly, the gem I would use in a 3v3 comp. So speaking of helms, let's have a look at what we have. We have obviously Gladiator's Helm with the standard enchant from Hellfire. Then we've got again the 9 healing MP5, and the difference here obviously is that we have a different meta gem. Now I think that both this casting speed, so what we have currently, and the mana back meta are both very viable. I've used both at various points in time. I think in 3v3 in particular, the casting speed one is very, very strong, but obviously the mana is equally as strong, and it's basically, I think, a personal preference at this point. So if you want to go for the additional mana, go for the additional mana. If you find that the casting speed is really effective, which I have found personally, then go for that. I just wanted to show some of the possibilities of gemming. Then the neck is exactly the same. I've decided not to do it. Changed anything, sorry. Shoulders, gladiators, exactly the same as before. Just going for that. We're just going for that 2% hit, which we have. Then this cloak, as I said, we are using spell pen this time around. I think they're both, both enchants have their place. So again, similar to the meta, it's just a case of what you personally want to go with. This cloak itself is absolutely fantastic for a shaman. It drops from Prince in Karazhan, so again, relatively attainable, not too tricky. Just need the thing to bloody well drop. Then chest. The two reasons we have gone for the triple healing and MP5. Number one being that, as I said, we were sort of focused on threes within this character. If we were focused on twos, then I probably would go for more resilience and a sturdier character. In 3v3, generally speaking, on average, you won't get focused if you're playing something like Shadowplay, or it's unlikely that you will get focused. And then the other reason, obviously, is to get the meta to activate, we need more blue gems than yellow gems, so we didn't go for the stacking resilience, but you could if you wish. Braces, as I said, assuming we can, and hopefully we can, we go for the leather braces. Healing, MP5, brilliant. The male ones, again, would have spell power and crit, something that we're not particularly interested in, so we don't do that. Obviously, healing weapon, healing enchant, standard. This shield here is from badges. There is also another shield which is very, very good, which is from Underbog Heroic, last boss of Underbog Heroic, I believe it is, which has a bit of spell power on it, but it doesn't have as much stamina, it doesn't have as much healing, and I'm fairly sure it's got a little bit less armor as well, but don't quote me on that. We can check actually. Let's have a quick look. It will be here we go. So this one, yeah. So significantly less armor, a little bit less stam, and it's got a touch more healing actually. But yeah, so I quite like the armor from the epic one, so we're going with that. And then obviously just intellect. You know, you could, again, if you were doing 2s, I might enchant it with stamina. But yeah, certainly for 3s this way. Gloves, as I said, we're going to be using the High Warlords set. The reason being is we jump to the Gladiators one, you'll see that it has the increases your critical strike chance with Healing Wave, not anywhere near as good as Shock. And then if we were to compare it to, say, the Elemental ones, so we have it here, which does have the shock range. It's got 32 spell power compared to the 46 healing. It does have a touch more crit and a touch more resilience, but I just like the healing. Again, if I was doing 2s, I would probably look to use the ringmail, just because additional armor, a bit more resilience, and the healing loss isn't that significant. But for 3s, I think that the High Warlord set is just as, or is the preferred one. Again, same belt as before, leather, healing, MP5, great. Standard legs, exactly what you expect. Again, boots, leather, healing, MP5. We're keeping Seal of the Exorcist predominantly for the hit. It's very nice to get a little bit of hit from there, saves us a gem socket. One thing obviously you can choose to do, depending upon which what drops you have, is you could resocket some of these gems into hit, and therefore swap this to a pure healing ring. So it would be it's a case of basically calculating, you know, for the 2 sockets here, obviously I would lose 18 healing and 4 MP5. Do I then get more than 18 healing and 4 MP5 from a different ring? If you get the get good rings that drop, you probably will. So in that case, you might choose to resocket to hit and swap this ring out for something a bit more healy. Speaking of healing rings, we have got this absolute bad boy. This is a beast of a ring, easily the best healing ring for shamans in PvP. Little bit no resilience or anything like that. And then we have the standard trinket, Scarab of the Infinite Cycle. If I wasn't going to use Scarab, what I would use would be either, or if I didn't have Scarab, I would be using Lower City Prayer Book, or in fact I would also possibly look at using Rejuvenation Gem or Rejuvenating Gem. Still really solid trinket, even though it's obviously level 60. And again, if you're finding yourself going a lot, swap your meta, and then maybe swap Scarab out for something like Rejuve Gem, or in fact Lower City Prayer Book. And then Totem of the Plains. I really like it. The alternative obviously would be the Lesser Healing Wave. I mean, I think in hindsight, I should have swapped it to the Resilience 1. 26 Resilience in particular in Season 1 is a lot of resilience. That's basically 10% of our overall resilience. And speaking of, this is what the stats look like. Just a comparison, obviously on the left we have the stats from the first gear set, and then we have the increased gear on the right with the best in slot. So points of note, obviously we've got additional 2000 armor, we've got slightly less resilience, but we've got 300 plus, which is sort of the, there's no particular reason why 300 is the number, it's just a round number that I like to use, and 300 to 350 is what you want to go for. As I said, if you're going for 2v2, then maybe look at getting a little bit more resilience, and maybe some less healing or something along those lines. Speaking of healing, obviously we have an additional 400 healing spell hits, again pretty much exactly the same, we just want that 2%. Crit, again pretty much exactly the same, and then an additional 50% additional MP5, making a quite significant difference over the course of the match. So that's the best in slot gear. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. As always, I'm really happy to discuss. It's really interesting to me, and have a good one, guys.